All right, get ready, because today we are diving headfirst into the lap of luxury.
You could say that.
We're talking about the Marina Bay Sands Hotel in Singapore.
That's right.
You know, the one with that incredible infinity pool we've all seen pictures of?
Yeah?
Well, you sent over a whole bunch of research on it, and this isn't just your typical five stars loved it kind of
No,
stuff.
not at all. This is way beyond your typical travel blog.
Uh-huh.
We're getting into some serious data here. This is academic level research using text mining to analyze, get this, over 10,000 TripAdvisor reviews.
10,000. My
10,000.
thumbs are cramping just thinking about scrolling through all that.
Yeah.
So before we even get into it, what's the big deal about using text mining for hotel reviews?
Okay, imagine trying to understand what a novel's about, but you can only read like 5 random words on each page.
You wouldn't get very far.
Exactly. Text mining is like having a supercomputer read all those reviews, every single word, and then organize them. It finds the key words and sorts them into categories: value, emotion, infrastructure, things like that. It's about seeing the bigger picture.
Okay, so we've got this treasure trove of data. What was the first thing that jumped out at you? Was it the price tag? I mean, I guess the Marina Bay Sands we're talking about.
It's funny you should say that because, no, price wasn't the biggest thing.
Really?
You wouldn't believe how many times the words crowd and pool showed up together in the negative reviews.
Wait, so even that amazing infinity pool gets slammed with crowds?
It seems even paradise has its limits. Some people were saying they waited over an hour just to check in. But that's before they even made it to the pool. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
You finally get up there, ready for those killer views, and it's just a sea of people, everyone trying to get the perfect selfie.
Yeah, not exactly the luxury vibe you'd expect. You gotta wonder, at what point does the reality of the crowds just completely ruin the fantasy of this luxurious experience?
And that's such a good point. What's so interesting is that the research actually put the reviews into categories based on emotion.
Yeah.
And those negative reviews we were talking about, the ones about crowds,
Yeah.
they often had words like unpleasant, horrific, even dreadful.
Wow.
Strong language, right? It's clear there's a huge disconnect between what people are expecting and what they actually experience, especially at a luxury hotel.
It's not just about the crowds themselves, it's that emotional impact they have on you when you're trying to have this luxurious experience.
Exactly. And these weren't just like, oh, it was a little busy kind of comments. These were really emphasizing how different the reality was from the luxury that was promised.
Right, like when you order a gourmet burger, but then the patty's dry,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be surprised at like a local pub or something, but when you're paying top dollar,
You have certain expectations.
totally. It's like, hold on, I paid for caviar, not potato salad. Speaking of high expectations, the research also found that link between software and service.
Right? What does that even mean in this context?
Yeah, so in this case, software, that's referring to the behind-the-scenes stuff. You know how smoothly the hotel actually runs? Like the check-in process, crowd management, all those operational things.
Okay.
And then service, that's more about the staff, how friendly and helpful they are,
Yeah.
that direct interaction.
And what they found was that when the software experience was negative, people gave worse ratings for service too.
So even if the staff is doing their best, if there are crazy long lines or the pool is a zoo, it can really affect how people see the service overall.
Exactly. It's all connected. It's not enough to just have nice staff. Hotels need to think about the whole experience and design things in a way that avoids those pain points.
Because if the little things are bad,
They can really color your whole perception.
for sure. So far, we've been focusing on the downsides, but what about those thousands of positive reviews? What were people raving about? Was it the architecture, the fancy restaurants?
Those definitely got some shout outs.
Yeah.
But the most common positive theme was actually much simpler: service.
Really?
People consistently praised how friendly and helpful the staff were. They were impressed by their willingness to go the extra mile.
So even at a big, luxurious hotel like the Marina Bay Sands, that personal touch still really matters.
It makes a huge difference. People want to feel seen and cared for even when they're surrounded by hundreds of other guests.
Did any specific example stand out to you?
One guest mentioned that the hotel surprised them with a birthday cake and some chocolates for their husband's birthday.
Ah,
Those little gestures can really make someone's day.
absolutely. It shows that you don't need grand gestures all the time. It's those little thoughtful things that people remember.
Exactly. And aside from service, guests also talked a lot about how clean the rooms were. They used words like spotless, immaculate, stuff like that.
It's interesting, both the good and the bad reviews emphasize the importance of those basic things. Clean rooms, friendly staff, you'd think those would be a given.
But they can make or break the experience.
Totally. It's a good reminder that no matter how fancy the hotel is, guests still care about the core parts of a hotel stay. It's like you can have this amazing house with all the best furniture, but if the roof leaks, none of it matters.
Exactly. And it's not just hotels. It's a good lesson for any business, really. Don't get so caught up in the fancy extras that you forget about the most basic things.
The foundation has to be strong. But let's get back to the research itself. One thing that really stood out to me was how important it is to manage expectations, especially with luxury travel,
Oh, absolutely.
because those Instagram-worthy infinity pools don't seem quite as glamorous when you're crammed in there with 100 other people.
Exactly. The fantasy kind of falls apart. Hotels have to find that balance between filling up every room and still making each guest feel special.
Because if they promise everyone an exclusive
It
experience,
stops being exclusive.
right, the research actually had some interesting ideas about how to solve this problem.
Yeah, there were some good ones.
Let's hear them. What can hotels like the Marina Bay Sands do to make sure guests' expectations match up with reality?
One suggestion was timed entry for the popular stuff, like the pool, especially when it's really busy.
Oh, that's smart.
Instead of a free-for-all, everyone gets a reservation for a specific time slot.
So you're guaranteed your spot by the pool. No more waiting in line for an hour only to find out it's packed.
Exactly. It keeps things more manageable.
I like it. Did the research have any other ideas?
They talked about targeted promotions during the slower months, offering deals to attract travelers when it's less crowded.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's better for the hotel because they're filling rooms year-round, and it's better for guests because they get a more relaxed experience. So as we wrap up this deep dive into hotel reviews, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away?
I'd say online reviews are super helpful, but they're just one piece of the puzzle.
They're not the be-all and end-all.
Exactly. Think of them as a starting point. Use this research to ask yourself the right questions. What really matters to you when you travel? Are you okay with crowds to see something amazing? Or do you value peace and quiet, even if it means missing out on some of the wow factor?
It all comes down to personal preference.
And aligning your expectations with what's actually being offered.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Reviews are a tool, and like any tool, they work best when you use them thoughtfully. Don't just follow the herd. Think for yourself, ask the right questions, and make travel decisions that will lead to truly memorable experiences. Yeah.
Exactly. Every trip is unique. And finding those hidden gems that fit your style, that's part of the adventure.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. Until next time, happy travels, everyone.